All right, I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. on June 9th, 2026. This is Millbrae's regular city council meeting. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Nguyen.
Here.
Councilmember Riley.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fung.
Here.
Mayor Rinaldi.
Present.
All members of City Council are present.
All right, thank you, City Clerk. We got roll call, so let's go with the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag. Please stand if you're able. All right, thank you for that. And we're going to go into our ceremonial presentation. So starting off, we have a proclamation proclaiming June 2026 as Pride Month. And we have Marilyn Hollinger from San Mateo County LGBTQIA+ Commissioner will be with us. Why don't we go ahead and read the proclamation first? Councilmember Nguyen.
Whereas the city of Millbrae is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning intersex and asexual people in our diverse community. And whereas June is recognized as Pride Month in honor of the Stonewall Uprising of June 28, 1969, when LGBTQIA+ people fought back against police harassment in New York City and ignited the whole modern movement for LGBTQIA+ equality. What began as an act of resistance grew within a year into thousands of advocacy organizations and the first Pride March held in 1970 to commemorate their courage. And whereas the LGBTQIA+ people have made invaluable contributions to the cultural, civic, social, and economic fabric of Millbrae, enriching our city with their talent, leadership, creativity, and resilience, and are integral to every family, neighborhood, and workplace in our community. And whereas we celebrate all LGBTQIA+ figures of the past whose advocacy and bravery paved the way for today's generation to live openly and authentically, and we recognize the ongoing efforts of individuals and allies who continue the important work. And whereas Pride is both a celebration and a continued commitment, every person deserves to live safely and authentically with equal access to opportunity and the freedom to be with who they are without fear of discrimination. And whereas every person has a role in fostering a more inclusive and compassionate community by celebrating diversity, uplifting historically silenced voices, and standing in solidarity with those who continue to face barriers simply for being themselves. And whereas the Pride Month is a time to celebrate, reflect, and build bridges, deepening our understanding, ensuring that Millbrae remains a city where all people, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, feel seen, safe, and valued. Now, therefore, the members of Millbrae City Council do hereby proclaim June 2026 as Pride Month.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Nguyen. Also to note that we have the Progress Pride flag on June 10th, 2026. It's going to be raised at 11 a.m. in Civic Plaza, so welcome all community members to join. So with us today, we have Marilyn Hollinger, San Mateo County LGBTQIA+ Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Councilmember Nguyen for reading that. I really appreciate it. So as you said, I'm on the LGBTQIA+ Commission of San Mateo County, one of the sworn commissioners, and our job is to help cities like this make these kinds of statements, and our main job is to advise the county supervisors on areas of interest to our community in terms of budget and advocacy and things like that. So it's a very busy month for us. A lot of cities are doing this, and I really, really appreciate it. And I want to just tell a little story, if I could make it short, I promise. I raised my children in Millbrae. They went through the whole school system here. Both my kids graduated from Mills High School and are adults now in the real world. And I raised my kids as part of a lesbian family. And I remember the first day of school down here at Spring Valley, we walked into the principal's office and said, our child is going to be starting school here. And we are this child's moms, and we don't expect there's going to be any trouble. That was really all we said, and he looked at us and said, there won't be any trouble. That was really the whole meeting that we had. And I felt so confident in that because of what he said. And let me tell you, my kids went through the whole school system and there was no trouble. And both of my kids, and so it wasn't just about us, both of my kids are transgender. So not only was it about us, but it was about my kids. And my kids were safe here. And knowing that this city council is making a safe space for families like mine is so meaningful. And it's not just words. Everything that Councilmember Nguyen said is how we feel. And I heard that and I tear up when you say that about offering dignity to people for being who they are. And I just want to thank you all. You'll get haters. You'll get people who will not agree with what you're doing. And I hope you will stand up and say people deserve dignity. And you are saying that by making this a public proclamation and allowing me to speak here. So thank you very much on behalf of the county and the commissioners. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Marilyn, for your kind comment and your lived experience here in Millbrae. It truly is a wonderful and welcoming place. Did anyone on council have any comments you wanted to make? Anyone? No? Okay, seeing that there's no comments, Marilyn, why don't you come up real quick and receive your proclamation here and we'll take a picture. All right, next up on the agenda, we have a proclamation proclaiming June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day. Vice Mayor Fung, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Thank you so much. Whereas Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, holds profound historical and cultural significance as a commemoration of the emancipation of the enslaved African Americans. On June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce that enslaved people are now free. More than 2.5 years later, after the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed, and whereas since 1866, African Americans have marked this date with prayer, music, food, and community, celebrating not only freedom, but the enduring resilience and joy of Black people, Juneteenth stands as a testament to perseverance and a long journey towards fulfilling the promise of freedom. And whereas as of June 2021, Juneteenth has been recognized as a federal holiday, affirming its place as a critical turning point in American history. And whereas Juneteenth is not only a celebration of the past, but a renewed commitment to the present. True recognitions of this day means actively working to ensure that every person, regardless of background, has equal access to opportunity and is treated with dignity they deserve. And whereas the city of Millbrae recognizes the profound importance of Juneteenth and encourages all residents to reflect on its meaning, celebrate the richness of African American heritage, and reaffirm our shared commitment to a community where everyone belongs and everyone can thrive. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day. We also encourage all residents to reflect on the significance of this day in American history and to carry its spirits of freedom, resilience, and justice into their daily lives. We also invite the entire community to join us at a Juneteenth celebration in partnership with the City of San Bruno on Saturday, June 13th, starting 11 a.m. at the San Bruno City Park.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Fung. Appreciate that. And tonight with us to receive the proclamation is Maurice Goodman, San Mateo County Branch President of National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, better known as NAACP, and representatives. Mr. Goodman.
Good evening. I'm here to show support, but we actually have one of our representatives on Zoom, I believe, to speak, Alexis Lewis. But while you're queuing that up, I do want to say thank you for the proclamation. Also, thank you for continuing to support the Juneteenth holiday with your collaboration with the City of San Bruno. It was this council that started the celebration here and the planning for the celebration here before we had our first celebration. It was a courageous council that decided to celebrate this day. And for that, council, I thank you and those that are not here that have participated in the planning and the support of that day. So on behalf of the NAACP, I thank you. On behalf of the NAACP, I encourage you to go beyond the reflection on the day, but also act. Make sure that you're actively looking at individuals and ensuring that we don't look past individuals' humanity and we see them for who they are, wherever they are. That the Juneteenth holiday really encompasses what our independence really is, independence for all Americans here. And so finally, that day reflected and made a day for all to be free and all to be able to be celebrated. So for us to be able to do that, I thank you for this acknowledgement. And it looks like Alexis Lewis is on Zoom. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Ms. Alexis Lewis?
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council Member Fung, for reading the proclamation, and to the other council members and city staff for this recognition of Juneteenth. It is my honor to accept this proclamation on behalf of our president, Maurice Goodman, and the members of the San Mateo branch of the NAACP. Juneteenth commemorates the day when the last enslaved African Americans learned of their freedom, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. It is a day to celebrate freedom, reflect our nation's history, and recommit ourselves to the ongoing pursuit of justice and equality. It is especially important to recognize the significance of Juneteenth at a time when there are efforts to erase or minimize parts of our history and diminish the voices and representation of Black Americans in our democracy. Understanding and acknowledging our shared history is essential to building a more just and inclusive future. We all have a responsibility to ensure that the lessons of the past are not forgotten and that the rights and opportunities secured through the sacrifices of those who came before us are protected for future generations. I would like to also share that this marks the 100th anniversary of the San Mateo NAACP branch. We are proud of our century of advocacy, service, and commitment to civil rights in our community. In the coming months, we will be celebrating this historic milestone with a centennial gala, and I hope to see all of you there as we honor our past, celebrate our progress, and look forward to the future. Thank you again for this proclamation and for recognizing the importance of Juneteenth in our community.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Some very impactful words, and congratulations. 100th anniversary of the NAACP San Mateo chapter. What a milestone. Mr. Goodman, you want to come on up and receive the proclamation? We'll get a photo with you. Thank you. All right, next up, we have a proclamation proclaiming June 20th to 26th, 2026 as National Mosquito Control Awareness Week. And reading that proclamation today is going to be Councilmember Riley.
Thank you. Whereas National Mosquito Control Awareness Week will increase the public's awareness of the threat of mosquito-borne diseases and encourage the public to take action in preventing them. And we will highlight the activities of the virus, mosquito, and vector research and control agencies working with minimize the healthy threat with California. And whereas, as a result of the threat mosquitoes pose to California's economic development and the health of citizens, 111 years ago, the California legislature enacted California's Mosquito Abandonment District Act, signed into law in 1915, giving local government the authority to form special districts dedicated to preventing the public from mosquito-borne hazards. And whereas the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District's mission is to safeguard the health and comfort of the citizens of San Mateo County through a science-based program of integrated vector management, including active surveillance of West Nile virus through monitor of mosquito pools, dead bird, sentinel chickens, and human cases. And whereas the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District works with mosquito and vector control districts throughout California, the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the California Department of Public Health to reduce risk to humans from mosquito and vector-borne diseases and mosquito, and encourages all residents to eliminate standing water around their homes to reduce mosquito breeding grounds. Now, therefore, we, the members of Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim week of June 21 to 27, 2026 as Mosquito Control Awareness Week. Thank you. We all hate mosquito.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley, and well said. Can't thank the Mosquito and Vector Control District for all the work they do. I actually work with one of Dr. Mohammed Balam's colleagues, Katie Martin, so I know how important that district is for the work that you guys do for the county. So that being said, we're going to bring up Dr. Mohammed Balam. He's a Millbrae trustee, San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District, and Dr. Rachel Curtis Robles, Communications Director, San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District.
Thank you, Mayor Rolandi and Councilmember Fang, Riley, and Nugent. We really appreciate you guys having us here. And I wrote some note for me. So my name is Mohammed Baloum. I serve as Millbrae on the board of the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District. It is an honor to present the district and the city to the districts. Millbrae is really a town that I care about, and knowing that residents benefit directly from the district is really impacting for me. We take seriously the responsibility of bringing Millbrae voice to the district table, and I'm proud with the partnership that we have built with the district. With me here, we have Dr. Rachel Cortez. She's the district communication director who will be walking through our annual update and highlight what the district accomplished here in Millbrae. I just want to say that the level of dedication that I have witnessed with the district team is remarkable. From the team member that woke up early in the morning going checking traps for mosquitoes, and for the scientists that we have there, they're looking for West Nile virus, and also for how the district is really reaching out and responding for any request within the same day. This team is really genuinely care about the public health and Millbrae as well. And also this week is a mosquito control awareness week, and we are honored here that the city of Millbrae is recognizing us with its proclamation. And I present here Dr. Cortez.
Much for having us this evening. We do have a few slides, mostly to remind people that we exist and they can call us if they need us for anything.
Sure, let's go ahead and pull those up. So this will be the annual San Mateo Mosquito and Vector Control District update. Staff, we can pull the slides.
We serve all of San Mateo County. Next slide. And we can provide a variety of services from the district. So our bread and butter is mosquito control. If you ever notice mosquitoes biting you at or around your home, you can call us and we will come figure out where they're coming from and try to stop them at the water source. We offer mosquito fish to residents free of charge, which are little fish that eat mosquito larvae in the water. We can do insect and tick identifications. We offer free rodent inspections for residents who are concerned with keeping rats and mice out of their houses. We can do yellow jacket control when you know where the location of the nest is. We have a robust community education program. I was just thinking, I've had the nice opportunity to visit some elementary schools in Millbrae within the past few years, including Meadows and other schools where I get to educate school children about the mosquito life cycle and hope that they take that information home to share with their families. And then we do disease surveillance. All of the services you can request. There's no additional charge for those because those are covered in the property taxes. Next. We're busy all across the county, but also in Millbrae. There's a lot of things that you can call and request service for, and those are service requests. But there's also a great deal of background work we're doing behind the scenes without you even noticing us, so that we can have a great quality of life here in Millbrae with respect to keeping the mosquito bites to a minimum. Next slide. So we'd like to remind everyone to please report biting mosquitoes. That is really critical. Our staff is only about 22 full-time staff, so any folks in the county who can report to us can help us narrow down where we should be doing some extra work. Next slide. We'd also encourage you to report dead birds. We will test certain birds for West Nile virus, as dead birds can be a first indication of West Nile virus in an area, and of course, dumping standing water around your home can help protect you and your neighbors. Next slide. And we'd like to invite everyone to come visit our open house the last Saturday in June. It's a very family-friendly event. You can stop by, learn about what the district does, what services you can request, and learn a lot of neat stuff about bugs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And can you just remind us what the cost is for residents to call your services?
Free.
The magic
Paid
word.
for by
Free.
taxes.
There you go. Yes, I know. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, just one note. I want to say that last year I reported 2 times there were dead crows in our neighborhood, and they came the same day, picked them up, and did the test for the West Nile virus. So they are really very dedicated people. And also, if you have mosquitoes or yellow jacks, they will come immediately and take care of that.
You provide a wide variety of services. Thank you. So Dr. Balam and Dr. Curtis Robles, why don't you come on up and receive this proclamation with us? All right, now we are moving to 2026 San Mateo County Local Hazard Mitigation Plan presentation. And we have with us tonight Mr. Bill Riley from Emergency Services.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, along with Ahmad Haya, we worked together on this project, so we want to make sure that gets his recognition as well. And actually, he did a lot of the work. If you're aware of our hazard mitigation plan is developed and updated every 5 years. The last one was in 2021. We're in the process of doing the 2026 plan, and part of that is we have contacted most of the departments within the city, updating our infrastructure needs and our planning needs to meet the requirements of the local hazard mitigation plan. It is a bit of work to put it all together, but it pays off in the long run because not only are we organized for major upgrades in the city when the potential funding might arise, but we are prepared to have the documentation to be able to achieve those. All right, slide please. Why do we mitigate? Well, first of all, mitigation is sustainable action to reduce or eliminate long-term risk to people, property from future disaster and events and their effects. It breaks a cycle of disaster damages, reconstruction and repeated damage, and long-term solutions that reduce the impact of future disasters. So we're getting ready, right? We want to make sure we're doing everything we can to avoid what might come. And certainly we know that those things may occur. And why would they occur? Slide, please. All right, in San Mateo County, we work together. We do our local hazard mitigation plan in cooperation with all the agencies within the county, and we call it a multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan. By doing that in cooperation, we get grant funding that helps us develop this plan and meet all the needs for FEMA requirements and Cal OES. Our hazard lists in the county, as you can see on the slide here, are quite a bit, and most of them we can see that could occur in Millbrae, with the exception of dam failure, so hopefully we won't be anywhere near that. We do have a significant effect from an earthquake, and we knew that from Loma Prieta when that happened. We were very close on that. Wildfire is certainly something we're facing on a regular basis, especially with the weather's coming up this week. I think we're all become more and more keenly aware of that. We've had landslide issues. Severe weather has been one that has dogged us many times during storm-related emergencies that have occurred. Fortunately, we have a very active public works crews that go out and help mitigate a lot of that before the storms, but even with that, things occur. If you remember a few years ago, the recent flooding that we had on the Hillcrest underturn, it was very tragic. But with that, we try to do everything we can to prepare for that. So the things that we have to face. Sea level rise certainly will occur as we look to the future, and we're trying to be prepared as we can with that. We work cooperatively with one shoreline with that, and I know Ahmad might have more to say about that. Okay, finally, slide, please. Okay, what projects can we do? A lot of the things that can occur, like native plant restoration on hills, prevent landslides, vegetation management, reducing dense shrubs, watershed restoration, and other things that are occurring now. Even we see now that with the expansion they've had with our high fire hazard severity zones have been attributed to our hillside areas. It's mitigation efforts that can be made by the personal property owners with that, and hardening their properties with safe roofing, trimming vegetation back, and closing vents. And a lot of things we need to look forward to. All right, so the reason tonight is to reach out to make everyone aware of that. That's what we're looking at for the public and the council aware of what we're doing. And we want to get comments back. We've done some work. We've set up a plan so far. We would like everyone to take a look at it, see what they think, and if there's other comments to make that. We do that by bringing it all together in one place. And that's through our multi-jurisdictional plan. So that would be through the website. And it's available. Slide, please. Let's just skip through the thing. Here we go. smcgov.org. But more easily, you can go on our Millbrae website. In the news section, there's a link, and it shows the entire plan. It's easy to go through, walk through, and make comments. And we would encourage our residents to take a look at that. And if they have needs, if they see improvements they can certainly make that.
I want to thank the County Department of Emergency Management for going through all the policy, federal policy documents and the guidelines to help put this together for 36 agencies. So that was a big effort. And if you go to the website, you can see Millbrae's annex as part of the multi-jurisdictional draft plans, as well as the other 35 agencies.
Thank you both for that presentation. Were there any comments from the council regarding the presentation? Yeah. Seeing that there's none, I'd like to thank you both for all the hard work and effort. Bill, you know, emergency services, we both serve there together. So we see each other quite a bit, even at CERT too, and I know the effort and work you're putting in. So thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks. With that being said, we're going to go into an agenda overview and staff briefing, which will include calendar of events, which is informational, report of bills and claims, which is also informational. So City Manager Tom Williams, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you could please provide the city manager update.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tom Williams, City Manager. On the agenda, we would like to request that item number 9 on the agenda, which is the consideration and appointment of planning commissioners, be moved up on the agenda just after the consent calendar. So after item number 5. So we'd like to move item number 9 just after consent calendar item number 5.
Does that require a vote from the council?
Yes.
Great. Do we have a motion and a second? I'll put a motion. Second? You'll second it? All right. Go straight to the vote then. Bob, you want to hit the second? All right. Please put your votes in.
The motion to move item number 9 ahead of, after the consent calendar passed by a vote of 4-0.
All right, back to you, City Manager.
Okay, thank you. So just a quick briefing on the happenings over the last couple of weeks. This past Friday, June 5th, the city, in conjunction with Mills High School, hosted the end of the year block party. We started this last year, and again, a major success this year. Over 1,000 people attended. Jeremy and Justin Garcia, 2 Mills High School graduates, they were on The Voice and have a lot of fame because of their appearance on The Voice. Both are in college now, but they have been working with the city in coordinating this end of the year block party. And so it was last Friday. Again, it was a huge success. There were 8 performers, both from Cappuccino High School and Mills High School. They included the Cappuccino Jazz Combo, the Ori Tahiti Band, the 5-Layer Burrito Band, Sabo, Mackenzie Page, Groove Management, and the headliner Unparalleled, which is Jeremy and Justin Garcia's band. So it was a great success. We hope to keep this moving. There are food trucks. The city of Millbrae provided 400 ice cream to the first 400 people. These photos were taken by a Mills High School student and sports editor, Matthew Dew. And he received an internship because of the photos that he's been taking. So just a little bit of shout out to Justin and the great work that he's doing as a photographer and the exposure that he's getting to earn himself an internship this summer. And as mentioned earlier, tomorrow at 11 a.m. In the Civic Plaza, this is the area between the David J. Chakouty room and the library. We will be having a flag raising at 11 a.m. to celebrate Pride Month. The speakers will include Marilyn Hollinger, who is here this evening. So tomorrow, June 10th at 11 a.m., a flag raising in honor of the LGBTQA month. We're going to continue with our Millbrae Goes to the Movies. This is a huge success during the summer, so our first summer movie is this Friday, starting at sunset, right around 7:30 p.m. We will be showing Zootopia 2. So it's a lot of fun for the family and everybody to come out, bring your blankets, your chairs. We'll have popcorn. I believe the Leo's Club will be providing candy. And so it's our first outdoor movie of the season. Following that, this is always the second Friday of the month through the summer. July 10th is Minecraft. Friday, August 14th is Wild Robot. And then Friday, September 11th is GOAT. So please, families, put that on your calendar. It's a great time and a wonderful community event. Also, as was mentioned earlier, the City of San Bruno and City of Millbrae have joined together on various festivals. this Saturday, June 13th, starting at 11 a.m., goes to 3 p.m. at San Bruno Central Park. We will be celebrating Juneteenth. The federal holiday is on June 19th, but the day, as was mentioned, celebrates the final emancipation of slavery in Galveston, Texas. There'll be music performances, food catered by Hip Hop Barbecue, and we did this last year, and it was a tremendous success with the two communities coming together. So we hope to see everybody this Saturday, San Bruno Central Park, starting at 11 a.m. to celebrate Juneteenth. Also, just wanted to bring to the community's attention that this Thursday morning, our Streets Division will be repainting parking stalls, legends, and crosswalks in the 800 block of Broadway. The 800 block of Broadway is Living Spaces, Trader Joe's, that area, and so it will be congested, and we want to give everybody a heads up to please be patient because that's a lot of activity there, obviously, with the retail stores. We will not be closing the street, so we'll be just marking off as the city street crews move down the street as they refreshen the parking stalls and the curbs and the legends and crosswalks in that area. Also, a very important announcement is the Broadway road closure on June 19th from midnight to 10 p.m. And the reason for this is it's a temporary road closure on that day. This is out in front of the new One Meadow Glen project that used to be Office Depot, is the large crane that you see will be coming down. And so the street needs to be closed to get the trucks in there and the crane removal. So just want to give everybody a heads up that June 19th, most of the day, almost all the day, that road will be closed. There will be detours and traffic control out there, but wanted to put that on everybody's radar. The businesses will remain open, including 24-hour fitness and the parking garage there on the west side of the street. Also, the Aviador Bridge, you can see here, you're probably familiar with this. This is on the east side of the BART station and the hotel and the Rollins apartment building, so just east of the surface parking lot. And we will be closing Aviador Bridge, so there will be no access to the Bayside Manor neighborhood. We get this request that during the summer season when it's not wet, to avoid cut-through traffic. There's also some bridge repair. We had a structural engineer review the bridge. We know that it's been a problem, and we need to do some repairs to the bridge. And we'll be bringing actually a solution to the city council in the near future. But so Aviador will be closed, and everybody will have to access the neighborhood off of Hillcrest and the Hillcrest Undercrossing. And then we'll reopen it during the rainy season in early fall and winter. And then also lastly, this is a great service that we provide. It's City of Millbrae alert signups. It's called Notify Me. It's on the city's webpage. So if you go to our homepage and you just type in the search engine, Notify Me, there's a sign up that people can get notifications on road closures, storm alerts, water main breaks, city events, newsletters, etc. You can choose that to get that via email or text messages on your telephone. Those that get the SMC alert are probably familiar with this, but this is just another local way that we can get information and alerts out to people and get the message out as much as possible and convenient for everyone. So it's Notify Me for alert signups on our city website. And that concludes a quick overview of what's happening.
Thank you, City Manager Williams, for the wonderful updates. Now moving on to approval of minutes. So we have the regular meeting minutes of May 26, 2026, which need approval. It's an action item. Do we have any council comments? Seeing that there's no council comments, I would entertain a motion. If anyone would like to make one, looks like we got one by Vice Mayor Fung, and I will second your motion. And with that said, let's go ahead and cast our votes.
The meeting minutes, item number 3, passed by a vote of 4-0.
All right, thank you, City Clerk Tran. Seeing that we have no oral report from city committee or commission chairs, we're going to move on to public communication. This portion of the agenda is reserved for those who wish to comment on any item not appearing on tonight's agenda. However, speaker must address subject matters within the jurisdiction of the city council. Every speaker will have 3 minutes. The speaker is to address directly to the entire council, not individual council members nor the public. In-person speakers, please submit a speaker slip. To participate on Zoom, click the raised hand button located at the controls at the bottom of your screen under the React. If you are joining by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. You'll be called upon when it is your turn to speak. City Clerk Tran, do we have any in-house speaker slips?
We do not, and we also have no hands raised online.
All right, so there's no public communication tonight. We are now moving on to the consent calendar, and we have adoption of resolutions to order and call a general and special municipal election to be held on November 3rd, 2026, to set certain policies applicable to candidates and to request the San Mateo County Clerk to render specific election services. Does anyone wish to pull this item from the consent calendar? Seeing that there is no one there, I'd entertain a motion. We have a motion by Vice Mayor Fung and a second by Councilmember Nguyen. So let's go to our votes.
The consent calendar passed by a vote of 4-0.
All right, and we're now going to move to agenda item number 9 as we voted on earlier. This is discussion and consider appointments to the Planning Commission, and it requires an action. So City Council, we have 3 candidates to consider for 2 Planning Commission positions with terms ending June 30th, 2030. We interviewed Ken Leland and Nathan Chan at the 6 p.m. special City Council meeting. Incumbent Maureen Davis was unable to attend due to a previously scheduled commitment that could not be rescheduled. She provided a written statement for the City Council's consideration, which was distributed to the council at the special meeting and posted online for public review. The matter is now before the City Council for discussion. Would any council members like to discuss or have any questions for staff? Any public comments on this item? We'll open it up to public comment first.
We do, Mayor. We have a hand raised online, but no speaker slips.
Okay, let's go ahead and take the hand that's raised online.
Okay, the first speaker is Jean Wong. Please accept the unmute.
Ms. Wong, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Rinaldi, Vice Mayor Fung, and City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jean Wong, a Millbrae resident of 28 years. I would like to express my support for the reappointment of Commissioner Nathan Chan to the city's Planning Commission. During his current term, he has consistently demonstrated the ability to balance competing interests in difficult situations, analyze technical reports and building plans, and worked amicably with other planning commissioners. Retaining experienced and objective commissioners like Commissioner Chan provides our city with much needed institutional knowledge and stability as we navigate ongoing development challenges and updates to Millbrae's general plan. I respectfully urge City Council to reappoint Commissioner Chan to the Planning Commission so that our city can continue to benefit from his public service, experience, integrity, and vision. Thank you for your consideration of this recommendation.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Wong. Do we have any other public speakers that are online, Ms. Tran?
We do not.
All right, seeing that there's no other public speakers, we're going to bring it back for council comments. Who wants to start first? No council comments? Vice Mayor Fung.
Thank you. Obviously, we've got 2 very qualifying candidates who we spoke to today, and also, I think, the chair, Maureen Davis, was not able to be here this evening. That's regrettable. What I would propose to council to consider is to first consider 1 appointment tonight, and then the next count. What's the expiration of the term? I think it's the end of June, correct?
It is June 30th of.
So we have 1 more council meeting before that expiration date?
That's correct.
Okay, so we could try to find another opportunity for Maureen Davis to come back and speak to us before we make the final appointment. We can choose to make 1 appointment tonight and then finalize it on another council meeting. That's one suggestion to consider, but I'm open to other ideas.
Any other council comments? Great. So I'll go ahead and make a quick comment. I'd like to thank all candidates that applied for this position. Realize that we had one candidate that was their first time applying for this planning commission spot. I give them a lot of credit. It takes a lot to step up, especially in a role that you're not quite familiar with. Also like to thank both members, Maureen Davis and Nathan Chan, for seeking reappointment. I think your work on the Planning Commission is well merited. You've done a fantastic job. I understand where Vice Mayor Fung is coming from. I do, however, feel that based on the breadth of experience that both Nathan Chan and Maureen Davis bring to the table, that I would feel comfortable making a motion to seek reappointment for both of them. And I'm going to put that out there and see if we have any other council member that'll second that. Someone want to make an alternate motion?
I would support that motion if that's the will of the council. I don't have a problem with it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right. So we'll go to vote.
Okay.
The motion to appoint Maureen Davis and Nathan Chan to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term ending on June 30th, 2030, passed by a vote of 4-0.
All right, I'd like to thank all applicants again, and I would encourage those that did not get appointment to Planning Commission to continue staying active in the community. There's plenty of other openings for commissions and spots, and we'd love to have you. So with that being said, we're now going to go into our public hearing. So we have a public hearing and adopt a resolution approving the 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and Water Shortage Contingency Plan, which is in action. And I'm going to call on Andrea Papajohn, Senior Environmental Programs Manager, to present the report. After the report, council questions to staff.
Good evening, Mayor Rinaldi and council members. Andrea Papajohn, City of Millbrae. Tonight I'll present the city's 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and Water Shortage Contingency Plan. These are required by the Urban Water Management Planning Act to make sure we're planning for potential population and job projections. Next slide, please. I thought I'd start off by giving a few highlights since the document's rather dense, and I just would like to make 4 points. First of all, water usage is growing, and there's sufficient supply available during normal years through 2050. The primary uncertainty is future drought year supply reliability, particularly associated with these state regulations to reflect new state priorities called the Bay Delta Plan Amendment, and I'll certainly go into that later. The city is proactively planning, participating in regional solutions, and maintaining a robust drought response program. And overall, the Urban Water Management Plan demonstrates the city is well positioned to meet future water needs while continuing to plan for uncertainty. Okay, next slide, please. So the Urban Water Management Plan is required by the California law and must be updated every 5 years. It serves as the city's long-term range planning document and helps ensure we can reliably meet water needs through 2050. It's very prescriptive and requires these components listed in number 2. It must contain the service area description, historical supply and demand projections through 2050 in normal, single dry and multiple dry years, and water conservation and drought planning. And then next in the presentation, I'll give some more key takeaways and conclusion and next steps. Next slide, please. So this is the City of Millbrae's water service area. The city provides water within the city boundary to approximately 6,600 connections. And 100% of the supply is from the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission Regional Water System, I'll refer to as SFPUC, RWS. Next slide, please. So looking at the historical water demands, Millbrae's population has remained relatively stable. So as you can see on the bar chart on the right, it's 2019 through 2025. Water use declined through 2024 and then rebounded in 2025. And then the line chart on the left is the per capita potable water. And that trend also declined through 2024 and then rebounded in 2025. The reflective decrease is during COVID-19 pandemic and then the 2021-23 drought. And so you can see in the line chart on the right, 2025, the average gallons per capita per day is about 80 gallons. Next slide, please. So looking ahead, these are the future water demand estimates. So these are projections through 2050. And it takes into consideration population growth, employment growth, ongoing conservation efforts. So you can see in the blue line, first of all, it's solid, and that's historical, so 2019 through 25. This is water usage in millions of gallons per year, and projected to 2050 to be 674 million gallons per year. And then when you look at the orange dotted line above that, that is our individual supply guarantee, also known as ISG. And that is for BOSCA member agencies, the ISG is the maximum annual amount of water that the SFPUC has contractually committed to make available to Millbrae. So as you can see, this guarantee that is made available by the SFPUC is much higher than our projected demands. Okay, next slide, please. So now this, one of the largest uncertainties facing the Bay Area, all the water agencies, is implementation of the state's Bay Delta Plan Amendment. It was adopted by the State Water Resource Control Board in 2018. It establishes new flow objectives for San Joaquin and river tributaries. And the SFPUC water supply is intended to improve environmental conditions in the Bay Delta watershed. However, there have been over a dozen lawsuits filed in both state and federal courts challenging the adoption of the Bay Delta Plan Amendment. So the lawsuits against the State Water Resource Control Board regarding this Bay Delta Plan are ongoing, and there also have been some voluntary agreement negotiations called the HRL, the Healthy Rivers and Landscapes, but it's unclear if and when the Bay Delta Plan will be implemented. And there's no timeline provided for consideration of the HRL as well. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so as required by the Water Code, since the city relies 100% on potable water from the SFPUC through BOSCA for supply and reliability, the city then is required to rely on the SFPUC's supply reliability projections. So the SFPUC evaluated two scenarios, and scenario one is the one we're using. Scenario one is the SFPUC puts in the main text for the plan. So they provided us with this text for the urban water management plan. And under scenario one, implementation of the Bay Delta Plan as written. the SFPUC is unable to meet their contractual level of service goals because of the unimpaired flow releases required by the Bay Delta Plan. So when we look at the next couple slides, this is under the scenario assuming implementation of the Bay Delta Plan. And as I mentioned just before in the slide before, there are uncertainties about the implementation and the timeline. But because we need to submit our urban water management plan by July 1, we are going to go with this scenario. Okay, next slide, please. So for normal years, the supply versus demand is sufficient. We have sufficient supply to meet our demands. As you can see in this chart, under normal conditions, the projected water demands are well below our individual supply guarantee of 1,150 million gallons annually. Okay, so the next slide, looking at single dry year on the left and multiple dry years on the right chart. The picture changes under the Bay Delta Plan scenario during dry years. So there are significant shortfalls that could occur as the FFPUC deliveries were reduced because of the Bay Delta Plan. So as you can see on the bar chart on the left, this is a single dry year. And if you look at, for example, 2030, it would be a 31% shortfall if there was one single dry year. And then the bar chart on the right, you can see in the third year, a 31% shortfall for multiple dry years. Okay, next slide, please. The city is actively planning for future uncertainties. Through our participation with BOSCA, we're advocating for the SFPUC's alternative to the Bay Delta Plan. We're exploring opportunities to expand recycled water. We've implemented water conservation programs. And also, we have the implementation of the water shortage contingency plan during dry years, which I will talk about next. Next slide, please. So the water shortage contingency plan, the purpose of that is to plan to ensure water is available for essential needs during any supply shortages. The plan balances conservation with protection of public health, safety, and economic activity. And the 2025 updates are really minor adjustments to the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. We'll go into some details on the next slide, please. Okay, so the state regulates water suppliers to define these 6 shortage levels. This is all in the water shortage contingency plan. They range from a water shortage alert to a water shortage disaster, as you can see on the stage titles on the right. So the first stage would require up to 10% reduction, and that would be a water shortage alert and so on as it gets more severe. Okay, and these stages could be declared by the city council based on the city's review of available water purchases from the SFPUC, or it could be based on determination that the State Water Resource Control Board has required a mandatory reduction in water use due to water supply shortages or an emergency. They could declare one of these stages. Okay, next slide, please. So examples of some of the actions that are outlined in the water shortage contingency plan under each stage, and I'll just go over one of them for example. Stage 1, so if you look at the middle column, are the key water resources and conservation program communications and operating actions, and it specifies initiate public information and advertising campaign, publicize suggestions and requirements to reduce water use. So this is to save up to 10%. And then the column on the right for stage 1 would be the reduction measures to adhere to water conservation ordinance and landscape irrigation restricted to early morning and evenings, and so on. And so in the water shortage contingency plan, there are very specific actions under each of the stages, and these are examples. Next slide, please. So the key takeaways, again, are customers continue to become more water efficient over time, even though demand is expected to increase by 24% from 2025 to 2050. There are sufficient supplies available during normal dry, non-drought years through 2050. However, there are uncertainties on dry year supplies due to the Bay Delta Plan amendment. But the city is proactively planning on participating in regional solutions and maintaining a robust drought response program and evaluating supplemental sources. And the Water Shortage Contingency Plan provides guidelines, actions, and procedures for managing water supply and demand during a water shortage. Next slide, please. So the schedule is today we are having our public hearing and adoption, and we need to submit the plan by July 1st to the Department of Water Resources. And then the final draft will be available on the city website for within 30 days of submittal. And the water shortage contingency plan is included as a standalone appendix. Next slide, please. So council recommends staff recommends council adopt the 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and the Water Shortage Contingency Plan. And I would like to thank BOSCA, the SFPUC, EKI, Environment and Water, and other city staff who contributed to the preparation of these documents. And I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the detailed presentation, Ms. Papajohn. So with that being said, do we have any council questions for staff? Councilmember Nguyen?
Thank you for the presentation. I think water conservation is definitely key for the future, especially as how fast Millbrae is growing. My questions are centered around actual examples. So I don't think you'll get much argument. We do need to conserve water. We need to be better with how we handle it. But can you kind of give us some concrete examples of what the implementation will look like if we do adopt a resolution?
Yeah, the implementation
of this proposed plan here.
Sure. Yeah. So this plan is, it basically looks at what we've used in the past, our water usage, and then projections for what we might use in the future. And that is so the urban water management plan is more of, it sounds like a plan, but it's looking at our usage and projections and what the reliability is from the SFPUC. The water shortage contingency plan would go into effect if we needed to move to more conservation, if we wanted to conserve under one of the 6 stages. So there is no immediate implementation of any of those stages unless there is a shortage emergency or water shortage alert.
See, so it sounds like purely analysis for now. Is that correct?
Yes, it is a planning document, and I do have EKI, our consultant, on the line, and I'm happy to bring one of them on, maybe to bring more context for you.
And also, I'll jump in here as well. So
thank you, City Manager.
Part of that, council member for the all council and the community, is the contingency plan is for drought years. And so that will only be implemented if there's a declaration of a drought. And the severity of that drought obviously depends on the year. As what was mentioned in the presentation, there is a state law that the Tuolumne River, the flow of that river can never drop below 40%. And so that's where if there's a drought situation and the river and the flow is going to be projected to be under 40%, it cannot. And so what happens is all the water suppliers, water users have to cut back to ensure that that flow is always maintained above 40%. And so depending on the stages, stage 1, 2, 3, 4 of the drought, that's going to be dependent on, with the adoption of this plan, what we implement. Year in and year out, though, drought tolerant landscaping, we have giveaways for low flow faucets, shower heads. We had a water barrel program for capture that we did last year. So those are the programs that we just continue for water conservation. But there's a difference between the supply of water in the next 25 years, which this report says, yes, we've got plenty of water supply based on the growth and build out projections. So there's no worry there. But then the second part of this is what do we do in a severe drought? And typically, if there is a severe drought, we will come back to the city council for discussion with recommendations on what to implement. So it's not like you adopt this plan and then we just implement. We'll come back to the city council to communicate the severity and what actions we will put into place at that time.
A quick follow-up. Do we have numbers on the use per capita? Because I get that with a growing population, we'll use more water, but has that usage per capita increased?
Yes, we do have numbers on that, and that we use 80 gallons per capita per person, and I believe that is it's near the beginning. And I will say that Millbrae is, I had some notes here, but we are, approximately 80 gallons per person per day, which is generally consistent with a more water-efficient communities on the peninsula. And it reflects the success of our long-term conservation efforts. We did put together a chart if you wanted just to see how we compare to other cities in the county. Eva, could you kindly move to the very last slide? There was an extra one after the, one more. Yeah, so this is where Millbrae is. If you just look at our per capita water use, it is lower than that of most FOSCA agencies. And again, we're at 80 gallons per person per day.
Great, thanks.
Sure. Yep, and Ms. Lee is on the line. Did you want to add anything else? No?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the additional context that you provided. Are there any other further council questions to staff? Okay, seeing that there's none, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Staff, do we need a vote to open up the public hearing? Okay, perfect. So we'll just go ahead. Are there any public comments on this item? City Clerk, any public comments online or in person?
No, Mayor, and no speaker slip as well.
Okay. So with that being said, we're going to pass it back to council for any additional questions. Okay, seeing that there's no any additional questions here, do we have a motion to accept the presentation?
The motion to close the public hearing?
Or motion to close the public hearing. Sorry about that. So we got a motion by Councilmember Nguyen and a second by Vice Mayor Fung. Okay, go to votes.
The motion to close the public hearing passed by a vote of 4-0.
All right, thank you very much. So now I would entertain a motion if anyone would like to make one to accept the report. City Clerk, we clear the board. And we got a motion by Councilmember Nguyen and a second by Councilmember Riley. People are fast on the button tonight. All right, now we go to votes.
And I just want to clarify, the motion is to adopt the resolution approving the urban management plan and water shortage contingency plan, correct?
So for clarification, the motion is for adoption of the resolution. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, so the votes.
Thank you. Item number 6 passed by a vote of 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, staff. And with that, we're going to go on to existing business where we have an event policy study session. So I'm going to call on Hannah Moran, Recreation Director, to present the report.
Hello. So good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Today I am back regarding the new Millbrae event policy. Next slide, please. So since we did do one previous study session, I will go over the information we shared previously just very quickly so we can then talk about the changes that have been made since the last presentation. So for background, as you know, Millbrae does host a wide range of events, including city planned events, commission and committee events, facility rentals, and community-led special events. Events support community engagement, economic activity, and the quality of life for our residents. Events are currently managed through departmental procedures, application processes, and the master fee schedule. But as the event activity in our great city has grown over the past years, clearer and more consistent guidelines are needed regarding facility use, impacts to city services, and evaluation of fee waiver requests. Many new groups do approach the city and the recreation department requesting new events and fee waivers, and the city must ensure that we have the resources to accommodate and approve or deny requests as needed. Next slide. So the purpose of this policy is to establish a comprehensive and consistent framework for how events are evaluated, approved, and supported, to provide clear and consistent and equitable requirements for the planning, approval, and management of events, to protect city resources while supporting these community events that we love, and finally, to promote fairness, transparency, and long-term sustainability in the use of public facilities, services, and the city rights of way. Next slide. And so let's briefly talk about city planned events. City planned events, these are events that are planned, organized, and operated by the City of Millbrae or the Millbrae Recreation Department. Example of these include Beats, Brews, and Vines, movie nights in Central Park and at the Rec Center, monthly senior luncheons, just happened today actually, and of course our 4th of July celebration, which is coming up soon. Hope to see you all there. And as you heard, even this past Friday, we just had a wonderful block party at Millbrae Central Park. So these are all examples of events that are planned within the authorized functions and approved budgets of the city departments. City planned events will always take priority over all the other events for the use of city facilities and city resources. Next slide. We are also very thankful for our different commission and committees. Committee and commission events are events that are sponsored by a commission or committee and that are included within an approved work plan and supported by city staff. So an example of this would be the Millbrae Art Show, which did just take place in May, for those of you who are able to attend. Events and expenditures for these must always be included in a city council approved commission or committee work plan. And any additional event or funding requests by a commission or committee does require approval through either the new regular work plan or a work plan amendment. Members of commissions and committees may not raise funds on behalf of the city directly unless, of course, it is through an officially authorized process. And these are some of the things we wanted to note in the policy. Next slide. Okay, and so to go over some more definitions of this draft policy, we do have facility rental events. This definition is just basically to establish the events that consist solely of permitted use of city facilities or fields or park space. And these events would not exceed established capacity thresholds or require additional city services. So they are also not considered, and then if it's a regular rental, it wouldn't be considered a regular rental unless, or if there is a fee waiver being requested, it would no longer be considered a regular rental. But if they are paying the full fees and do not have additional requests of the city, they are essentially just a facility rental and would not meet the requirements for a special event application. So we just wanted to define facility rental events. Again, these do not exceed already established capacity limits and would not ask for additional city services or fee waivers. But a special event is any organized activity on a public or private property that does impact city services, involves use of public property, facilities, parks, streets, sidewalks, public parking areas, or that may affect surrounding neighborhoods through traffic noise or safety considerations. And continue with definitions, a fee waiver or reduction is a request for partial or full reduction of city fees associated with an event, and all fee waivers are subject to city council approval. Special event applications are required for all events defined as a special event in this policy. Next slide. So let's briefly touch base on private events and events exempt from the special event application. Again, we just spoke about this, but to reiterate, a regular facility rental, even if the renter is considering it an event, again, if it's within the established thresholds, like again, at the Great Hall, we have a certain amount of people who can utilize that. Somebody who rents it might consider it an event, but again, if it's within the threshold that's already established, it would just be considered a rental and would be exempt from a special event application. An example of this would be, again, events that rent the full or the majority of the recreation center. And one specific example that has happened in the past couple of years is the Silicon Valley Bike Coalition. They have rented the majority of our recreation center in the past and held an event there, but it wasn't a special event application needed because, again, it was just a facility rental. So that's just to give you one of the things that would be exempt from the special event application. But also events on private property. They don't require a special event permit unless, of course, the event ends up requiring city services, which include but are not limited to traffic control, public safety staffing, or additional public works support. Next slide. And special event applications. So special events, again, are defined as any organized activity by an outside entity that impacts city services beyond the established capacity, or events requesting a fee waiver. Example of these events are also some of the events you know and love, like Lunar New Year, the Rotary Spring Festival, Lions Car Show, Relay for Life, Art and Wine Festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, Japanese Cultural Festival, and more. But special events are the events that request to use public property, parks, facilities, streets, sidewalks, or public parking areas beyond the regulated limits. And they can still be considered a special event if they may affect surrounding neighborhoods through traffic, noise, or safety concerns. In these cases, entities must submit a special event application. Again, just a reminder, you'll hear this a couple times a day, but street closures and fee waivers always require city council approval. Next slide. And we know it's important as part of this policy to establish general capacity thresholds. So proposed in this policy for Broadway street closures for special events, those we are looking to limit annually to 7 days per year. The priority for this would go to recurring annual events that are in good standing. And so currently that includes Lunar New Year, put on by the Millbrae Cultural Committee, which is a 2-day event. Mid-Autumn Festival, also put on by the Millbrae Cultural Committee, another 2-day event. Millbrae Machines Car Show, put on by the Lions Club, which is just 1 day. And then Art and Wine Festival by the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce, which is also a 2-day event. And do note that the city planned events are not included in this limitation. So example, Beats, Brews, and Vines would not be included in that 7 days. But with our current events in good standing, we have maxed out the 7 days on Broadway. Limiting the Broadway street closures to 7 days would support our downtown businesses by balancing community events with the operational needs of our downtown and surrounding neighbors, and helping to address concerns raised by Broadway businesses regarding the event-related impacts. And it would support maintaining a balance between community programming and the ongoing needs of our local brick and mortar businesses. Next slide. We also set Central Park limitations as part of the policy. Special events in Central Park shall be limited to 4 days per fiscal year to minimize impacts on park conditions, on staff resources, and surrounding neighborhoods. Priority would go to recurring events, and right now those ones are the Rotary Spring Festival and Relay for Life, So with that, there still could be a little bit of room for expansion for community events at Central Park. But just note that the city planned events are not included within this limitation, similar to what we said about Broadway. So example, 4th of July celebration at Central Park is not included in that limitation. Next slide. Fee waivers and reductions. Those, as we have mentioned, may only be approved by City Council, and requests must be submitted as part of the special event application process. Events receiving fee waivers must comply with all state and federal laws, must be open to the public, must have a clear public benefit, and events intended to support or oppose a candidate for public office, a ballot measure, or political party shall not be eligible. And as part of the policy, we did limit the amounts each entity could receive in fee waivers and ensured that only nonprofit entities were eligible for that. The amount we are proposing, the max would be $9,000 in aggregate per Millbrae-based nonprofit per fiscal year for special events, and a max of $4,500 in aggregate for non-Millbrae-based nonprofits per fiscal year. Of course, both of those could be adjustable by the CPI each year, the Consumer Price Index each year. But of course, with this, we would require proof of nonprofit status. And something new as part of this special event policy is we would require a financial report for the special event application review. Next slide. Okay. So public-private partnerships with for-profit entities. We wanted to note that there could be limited partnerships for for-profit entities, and those could be considered where a clear public benefit is demonstrated. So such partnerships would require city manager review, and they would be formalized through a separate agreement. We wanted to give you an example here, the Daily Journal Senior Showcase. If any of you were able to attend that in the past, the Daily Journal Senior Showcase was actually part of the Senior Advisory Approved Work Plan, but did have a separate agreement that was brought forward for approval by City Council. Next slide. Can you go back 2 slides, slide 11? I'm missing something. One more. Okay. I may be missing a slide here, so if so, I will go back and speak on it. But please move forward to 14. Thank you. Okay, so process and procedures. The City Council retains final authority over special event approvals involving street closures, and again, involving fee waivers or reductions. Do note that organizations not in good standing with the city shall be ineligible. An organizer's compliance history with the special event guidelines, city policies, permit conditions, and applicable laws will be considered in evaluating the applications. There also is City of Millbrae Special Event Administrative Guidelines. So those would be detailed operational requirements, including compliance deadlines, vendor regulations, health permits, equipment standards. And again, those would be maintained in a separate special event administrative guideline document. Next slide. But we wanted to talk about that just for a minute because we did not want council to think we forgot anything. There are some very detailed things that happen within events. So our administrative guidelines requirements would include things like restroom requirements based on projected attendance, including ADA accessible facilities, security plans and staffing levels, waste management and composting plans, and then street closures, traffic control plans that are approved by Public Works, as well as, of course, emergency access always being maintained for Central County Fire and Millbrae Police Bureau. Next slide. So I'm going to pause right here just to talk about our methodology really quickly in reviewing fee waivers. Currently, we use our master fee schedule to decipher how much fee waivers are worth. The schedule establishes standardized costs for services such as street closures, barricades, no parking signage, and other related event support services. And the master fee schedule does remain the baseline for determining the value of city services when reviewing the fee waiver. And that's just important to note as it may come up later on in this. Okay. So let's talk about following the previous city council study session. Staff reviewed city council feedback and direction. We conducted additional research of comparable agencies, of course consulted with our city attorney's office, and then we did also meet with community stakeholders, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but we also did do an event operational cost analysis on our Broadway events, and so we will get into that. But as far as our community stakeholders, since this was a request from council, we did want to note we were able to meet with the Chamber of Commerce, the Millbrae Cultural Committee, and the Japanese Cultural Committee. There still are invitations out for the Rotary and the Lions Club. But we wanted to note just a couple of things said by the committees that they were passionate about. So Millbrae Cultural Committee, they did emphasize that food is an essential component of cultural representation and one of the primary draws for cultural events. They wanted to note that food vendors have a significant social media following, which could increase visibility for Millbrae events and encourage visitors to patronize local restaurants and businesses during the event, and then promote people to come back in the future. So that was one of the points made, the point that they wanted me to bring forward from Millbrae Cultural Committee. The Chamber of Commerce did, in their meeting, requested some clarification regarding ongoing nonprofit partnerships, and we will address that, as well as compliance standards and emergency authority provisions. Next slide. So as we mentioned, we did a study on operational costs for events on Broadway. So for MCC, in 2026, which was just earlier this year for the Lunar New Year Festival, Central County Fire reported $37,117 in cost, while Millbrae Police Bureau stated their costs were $24,870, and Public Works was at $49,172. Which brought the Lunar New Year Festival to a total of about $111,159 in city service support. For MCC's Mid-Autumn Festival, fire was at $2,568. Police costs were $37,535. Public Works was at $32,942. And that was a total of $73,045. For Lions, they were not able to hold their car show last year, so this is actually data from 2024. But fire reported they only needed to run out of Station 37, so there's no additional staff. Police use reserves and CSOs, so not a significant cost there, while Public Works did spend close to $10,000 on that event with staff. These are staff costs. Operational costs. The chambers for 2025, Art and Wine, fire reported $33,709, while police reported $48,498, and Public Works was just about at $43,000 for a total just over $125,000 for the Art and Wine Festival for 2025. Again, these are staff operational costs at their fully burdened rates. We did want to note, just in some of this analysis, you would see that Art and Wine had a lower cost from fire than Lunar New Year did. And part of that is because at Art and Wine, there was a dedicated ALS, Advanced Life Support ambulance that was there for the Art and Wine Festival, which means that there was a few less services required from CCFD. Police costs were higher at Art and Wine Festival, due in part to a larger footprint and alcohol sales and related public staffing needs for that. Next slide. So let's go over what was added since the last time I've seen you on this. We did want to add an annual special event day limitation. Special events requiring City Council approval shall be limited to 17 events days per fiscal year. In the past few years, we have not exceeded 15. So again, special events that come to you could be somebody just using the recreation center that wanted a fee waiver. Millbrae Education Foundation utilized our recreation center recently for a gala, or it could be a street closure. So we want to limit all of the special events that are from our community partners that come to you to 17 a year. This is intended to support fiscal responsibility, manage staffing demands, and balance the city's operational resources. Next slide. And with that, we added event prioritization framework as well. Priority consideration may be given in the following order: Millbrae-based nonprofits with recurring events in good standing, other nonprofits with recurring events in good standing, new Millbrae-based nonprofit events, and new nonprofit events that are non-Millbrae based, and finally, for-profit entities requesting city services. Approval is still subject to operational feasibility, of course, public safety, staffing availability, compliance history, and of course, things like our city calendar. Next slide. We also added some vendor operation and food vendor limits, again, to support the work we do on Broadway. So for Broadway street closure events, the recreation team, along with some folks from Public Works, have identified that about 44 10-by-10 booth spaces for food vendors could work on Broadway and could continue to work. So we identified the locations that would have the least amount of impact for cleanliness, operational needs, and with that, again, 44 10-by-10 booth spaces seems to be the sweet spot. So just a note on that, though, food vendors requiring multiple spaces would reduce the total vendor capacity to less than 44. So again, I'm just mentioning that because we identified 44 spaces. That doesn't necessarily mean 44 vendors if each vendor is taking up additional spots. On top of that, though, the city may require mid-street booth placement. This was added. Or booth movement to ensure ADA access. Of course, always ensuring that there is clear emergency access routes for CCFD and our Millbrae Police Bureau. And we would continue to work and evaluate ensuring proper pedestrian circulation. And so as part of this policy, vendor placement does remain subject to city approval. Next slide. One additional item that came forward is we know a city council approval, like I said, I'll mention this a few times, is already required for street closures. But in addition to that, city council approval would be needed for exclusive use of city-owned parking lots, especially at the recreation center. This is why we are addressing this now. Or use of more than 25% of the public parking lot at the recreation center would also need city council approval. An example of why this is in here again is there could be a renter who rented out the majority of the recreation center or almost the entire recreation center. But even if they did that, that would not guarantee them exclusive right to the parking lot. If that was something that they were requesting, they would need to put in a special event application and bring it forward to city council. The purpose of this, of course, is to protect public parking availability and then give staff time to evaluate the event and the impact so we can mitigate any impacts on residents and businesses around the recreation center or around any of our parking lots. And this we added in as well. Previously, we had talked about public-private partnerships with for-profits that would be done with a separate agreement than just a special event fee waiver. But we wanted to also put in here that that also could happen with nonprofits. So what we're acknowledging here is that there's some relationships that are larger than just a standard special event. So again, an example of this would be nonprofits who have ongoing programming or recurring partnerships. If that is what is requested, that would be often a separate agreement, would require city manager review, and of course would be formalized through a separate agreement. And again, those are some of our partnerships with nonprofits that are ongoing, not like a one-day event. Next slide. And we added more safeguards around city sponsorship recognition, again, after hearing feedback from council. So events receiving fee waivers or reductions, they may be considered city-sponsored events, and they might be required to give the city recognition comparable to other sponsors that give the equivalent level of financial support. These events may also be required to include the city logo on promotional materials, but the logo placement is intended as recognition only and is not considered an endorsement. However, the city of Millbrae always retains discretion regarding any entity using the city logo. Next slide. And you might ask yourself, hey, this is a lot of stuff. So how soon can we implement this? So staff looked at this and reviewed this a bit, and our recommendation is to continue planning for 2026 events currently that are in progress in the plan as is. We know the event season is upon us, and so many of our community groups have been planning already for the events occurring this year. So we'd like to move forward with fully implementing this policy at the beginning of 2027. And again, that allows just adequate transition time, avoids any disruption with the events already being planned, and does provide organizers time to adjust. Next slide. And so with that, we are asking that City Council review the draft event policy and ask any questions. And I know this is my second time here, but we added some things in there, so I'm open to all questions. And of course, we are looking for you to provide direction to staff so we can adopt this at a future date.
Thank you very much for the robust report, Ms. Moran. Plenty of information indeed was put in there, and I really appreciate all the time that staff spent going back to our local nonprofits and other entities to try to put together this framework that we have before us today. So with that being said, I'm going to look at the council and ask if there are any comments for discussion, any questions to staff. Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you for that very robust presentation right before me sleeping. So that's great. No, I mean, I think you brought up a lot of good points about the sponsorship, and I had questions around the fairness of that sponsorship, and the vetting process. So how do we ensure fairness when we vet out the sponsors? Maybe you can walk us through that.
Yeah, great question. So I actually have another agenda item right after this, which is our sponsorship package. But I believe you're talking about our community partners who do apply for these special events. Yeah, and so I think one thing that came through at last council is what we're trying to do is keep the good work that we've been doing, with our nonprofits. But as I mentioned in my report, we do get a lot of folks coming through with good ideas, good causes, sometimes for-profit, sometimes nonprofit, sometimes just citizens. And so that's why it's important to put these guardrails up. So again, those who are in good standing, so as I mentioned, we will also have administrative guidelines. Those are things like bathroom compliance, making sure that you have enough for all your attendees, as well as hand washing stations. That's a simple version of that. Those aren't in the administrative policy, but there will be those are not in the policy we brought forward tonight, but there will be administrative guidelines. So part of it will be our ongoing partners, if they can continue to be in good standing and really follow both the policy and the guidelines. So that's one of the criteria. But after that, we really are looking to keep the events we've had, again, with some small room for expansion. And I did note that, but I think it's a good point. Probably after the recurring events, all of those, there will be almost like a first come, first serve, just naturally. So once we have our ongoing events approved yearly, if additional events come through and we have room for them, we would evaluate each application as it came through.
Maybe this is going to be covered later, but is there a process on like maximum amount of contributions or thresholds? I'm just curious if you guys thought through that. If not, maybe you can share those details now or maybe in the next presentation.
Yeah.
Just like to interject real quick. I just want to make sure that we keep the council on point because right now we're discussing the event policy study session. I appreciate the foresight, but I do realize that the next agenda item will be the event sponsorship package study session. So I just want to make sure we're not blurring them.
Correct, yeah, and sorry that we're bringing those back to back because that could be a thing. But can you repeat that question?
Yeah, no, the main thing was just thresholds, because I think I saw this one, because again, you're blurring the two, I get that you're blurring the two presentations together. So if we're going to cover it later, that's fine, but I did notice it here being presented, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, so that's, so I don't think you're blurring on this particular one. So you're asking about what the cap is for fee waivers.
Exactly right.
Correct, right. So the cap for fee waivers, how we have capped that is if you look at it, only 17 events can come forward to you all. And the fee waivers, again, they are based on the master fee schedule, but each entity is capped. So each separate entity is capped per this policy. If they're a Millbrae-based entity, capped at a $9,000 fee waiver. Again, the methodology for that is using our master fee schedule, not necessarily using our direct operational costs, because we do see a public benefit to having these events. But the way we've been bringing forward the fee waivers, each entity would be capped at $9,000. And so then again, if it's a non-Millbrae-based nonprofit, they would be capped at $4,500. And now that we're capping all the events that could come to city council, right? I guess the most you all would be able to approve for the year would be if 17 Millbrae-based nonprofits came, so it'd be 17 times the 9,000. Oh, Mike's not looking at me. I was looking for some fast math, but so that's what we have right now as the cap. We don't have a yearly cap at this point, but is something that council could consider.
Okay, great. And I just wanted to ask to see what type of influence these nonprofits can have, and it's great that you thought through the caps, because if it's unbounded, we can see a lot of problems with that.
Correct, yes. And again, with these events, they are operated, of course, under our policies and our administrative guidelines. They do have to follow that. But the nonprofits who are putting in special event applications, they are the ones organizing the events as well. But again, now within our policies and our guidelines.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Nguyen. I want to apologize for, thank you for your clarification. Yeah. We were going into the next one and want to keep us on point. Next question, Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Hannah. Lots of valuable information. I learned a lot.
Yes.
Okay, one slide you show there is a cost, but I have a question for those. It's all two this events. Why the fire and the police, they're different costs?
Yeah, let's go back to that slide. Thank you for doing that so quickly. Yeah, so we did look at this and we were evaluating. So again, for one of the fastest examples you could look at is the 2-day events for fire in 2025, and again for fire for the Lunar New Year Festival. They came in very close, and this is when fire has a presence at the events. So they came in very close, but fire was a little bit less expensive for the 2-day event for the Art and Wine, and that is because there was a separate ambulance that was on site. When it comes to fire for Mid-Autumn Festival versus Lunar New Year Festival, I know we have Dave Pucci here, Chief Pucci, earlier, and we were talking about this. For Lunar New Year Festival, we did have a truck stationed, or yeah, so we were stationed here. Fire was stationed here with a dedicated resources for the event. But for Mid-Autumn Festival, that festival, the only inspectors were needed that day. So that's the biggest difference you'll see in this presentation. And again, just knowing our events and knowing what's needed, we work a lot together prior to these events. We have meetings with many different departments, including fire, police, public works, admin, recreation, and we work with our event organizers to look at what services are needed per the different events. Another thing you will note is even though it's also a 2-day event, Art and Wine did have a $48,000 price tag, I guess, for the Art and Wine Festival from police. And again, part of that is due just to a larger footprint, as well as related public safety staffing needed, because there is alcohol served at that one. So again, we're constantly working with our different service departments to know exactly what is needed for the events. I also should say that Fire at Lunar New Year also had a presence in a booth and a CERT coordinator as well. So I think those are some of the biggest differences you'll see here. Where you do see for Public Works, the highest you'll see for Public Works is for the Lunar New Year Festival, and a lot of that was the additional food booths, but also the weather that weekend as well.
Thank you.
I had a quick question for Chief Pucci, since we're on the spirit of fire for these events. And I'm looking at the delta between Lunar New Year Festival and Mid-Autumn Festival for fire. And it looks like we have about a 35K delta there. And you had mentioned that a truck is required for Lunar New Year. Can you elaborate a little bit more on why a truck's required for Lunar New Year versus Mid-Autumn Festival?
And I'll pass this over, but I believe a truck was requested for Lunar, but yeah, we'll pass.
It comes down to the request from the city. If they want a fire engine to actually be stationed there to meet with the community, to provide first aid and that kind of thing. So it comes down to the request. On the larger events, something like Art and Wine typically creates much more activity for us. So we have an engine, plus we have 2 paramedics on a golf cart, plus a dedicated ambulance. And those, so it's kind of variable based on the needs of the incident, as well as if there's a CERT booth, and then
Yeah, and thank you to the first responders, especially CCFD. I know working these events with CERT, we often have times where people get really hot, they need a cooling center, and you folks are always there. So really appreciate the service.
Sure. And speaking of heat, that's what we always look at too. So if it's a particularly hot day, we might actually add a few, but no, it's a great opportunity for us.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Do we have any other council comments or questions? Or shall we move to public comment? Yes.
Oh. Wait, I think
Why
you're
don't we
supposed to
take
wait.
the comment? We're going to open it up to public comment right now. Why don't we have you come to the, why don't we have you come to the stand so you can make your public comment so we could hear you? Don't be shy, Paul. We know you're not.
You can do it, Paul.
You could do it. Come on up here. Paul, why don't you come on up and give your comment? We'll get there you go. Come on up. We got rules and procedures. We want to make sure everyone at home hears you. So go ahead.
I want to say thank you, Ms. Ann, for accepting pride and joy to come to Broadway, because the restaurants really enjoyed so many people coming and eating and enjoying everything that's going on Broadway. Thank you so much, because again, pride and joy, you're going to have them come back again in August again. Thank you so much. They really enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. We appreciate it. Do we have any other in-house speakers or any online speakers?
We do not, Mayor.
Okay, so seeing that there's no more public comment, we're going to return it back to the council for additional questions and comments. Anyone on council? Okay, I have a few questions of my own. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the mentions of an annual 17 days of events. So those are 17 total events by nonprofits. We have only 7 days worth of closure. Obviously, we want to preserve those events, they're reoccurring events. So these other, let's say 17 days, where would those events be held?
Yeah, thank you. So it's important to note that, again, we have had special events that just take place in the Chakuti. Why would it be considered a special event if it's just in the David J. Chakuti? The reason being is that nonprofits have come forward for an event for a fee waiver. And again, once they're asking for a fee waiver, it triggers a special event request. So I did mention that the most we've had in one fiscal year, in the past few years since I've been here, has been 15. But some of those do include, another one we mentioned was the Philippine Medical Society. They're a nonprofit. They hosted an event in the Great Hall. It's a recreation center. Essentially, that one was almost a rental, just a rental. But because it requested a fee waiver, it went to council. So when you're talking about where would these events be, again, we already know 7 days on Broadway. We have another, we have our holiday tree lighting, which is also done with the Chamber of Commerce right out here. That's another example of an event. Recently, we had an MEF gala. And so again, they can take places in different, they can take place in different locations. Central Park, again, already has 2. The Rotary Carnival takes place as well, and that's considered a special event. That's over in Rotary Park. So we're not setting limitations on those other locations besides Central Park and Broadway, but that's how you would get to the number of 17.
All right, thank you for that. Really appreciate it. I wanted to just place a quick comment on the 7-day closure for downtown. I had the unique experience today to go get some lunch in downtown Millbrae, and while speaking to one of the restaurant's owners, they made a comment to me regarding the events that take place in downtown. And the comment was, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek what they were saying about the benefit of having events on their particular block so frequently. When asked, are you seeing an uptick of business? How is this impacting you? The comment was, parking's taken up, so no one could park there. And then also the people that are traveling into the restaurant while these events are going on are just primarily to use the facilities like the restrooms. That's it. So it was a great concern of theirs, and they realized that their particular portion of downtown is closed quite a bit. So they requested that, and once again, tongue-in-cheek, that if we could extend the benefit to other portions of downtown and not just focusing on their particular sector. So I think it's important sharing that comment with the full council. I know there's diverse and differing opinions that we're going to hear as we go along, but I think it's important to recognize that some of our brick and mortar businesses are impacted by these events, which is why we need to have a framework to make sure that each group gets adequate usage of our downtown. I do have a quick question just for public benefit here, and it's geared towards staff. Have we projected how much sales tax the city of Millbrae generally makes during these large events with the closures of downtown Millbrae? City manager?
We have, and it's not that much. It's somewhere between $300 to $800 in sales tax.
Okay, so $300 to $800.
Correct.
And we saw some of these costs, for these events. One $111,000, another one $125,000, another one $73,000, another one about $10,000. Given those costs, do we do we know what the cost of those services like police and fire would be without those events? Because I'm guessing, looking at the metrics here, we talked about fire costing a particular amount to have an engine. What would it normally cost if we weren't having an event that day to have fire service?
Well, so this is in addition to our daily service.
So that's all additional what we saw earlier?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So it's additional costs. And we shoulder that cost, right? That's not put on any of the nonprofits?
We shoulder the cost depending on the budget. CCFD within the budget, we haven't paid them the extra, 100,000 plus. As was mentioned, we had AMR and ambulance that brought down some of the costs. The last 2 years, AMR provided that, even though there was a cost up there, there's a community benefit that they provided, so there actually was not a cost. So there are a lot of variables there, but I will say this, that yeah, these are the direct numbers that we're disclosing, but these types of festivals provide an intangible, obviously as well as a tangible, and we just want to disclose the full cost of doing business, and so I think it would be, appropriate for us in our service delivery, promotion of the city, partnership, I don't see any real red flag with those costs at this point in time. But to the point of, the intangibles, and I've heard as well, Mr. Mayor, but that's why we're limiting this to only 7 closures a year on Broadway, talking with the businesses. They're at capacity. So we don't want to exceed that, because then there would be some tremendous conflict. This room would probably be filled with the downtown businesses. 1, and 2, the food booths. So there's been a lot of discussion about, yes, promoting Millbrae, but not bringing outside vendors and food booths, so that when people do come here, then they can participate in our local restaurants. So we think that there's a nice balance here, and we will continue to monitor that, and location of food booths, number of food booths. So there's a combination of people coming into our restaurants, but as well as enjoying other unique foods that are brought in for the various festivals.
Thank you, City Manager Williamson. I want to make 2 quick comments. Number 1, the spirit of this is not to interfere with these existing downtown closures that occur. These are festivals that reoccur. The public loves them. We understand there's a cost to community, so we're not saying, let's save a few bucks here, there, or the other, although saving money is always a good thing. We understand there's a cost to community. Secondly, we appreciate the transparency. We feel we owe it to our constituents, at least I do, and I'm sure the rest of the council does. The comment that I would have, though, is there was an additional comment from one of the other nonprofits that was mentioned in the report, talking about transparency. And I think it's very important for the city of Millbrae to have transparency on the events from the nonprofits, to understand how many booths, what the cost of the booths are, how much money's made, where the money goes, to maintain that public trust for these closures. So with that being said, that's all my comments right now.
Mr. Mayor, point of clarification, that's why this new policy does require financial statements by the nonprofits that we write off and have a partnership with.
Got it. So there will be clear vetting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yep, that's part of the new application. They would need to give a budget for, show a transparent budget for their event.
Got it. And we're keeping track of the number of booths for each of these events?
Correct.
We do.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you. I don't want to overshadow anyone here. Any other comments from council? Vice Mayor Fung.
So on the financial part of it, Hannah, you mentioned that the nonprofits will be sharing the budgets. Is it budget for the event, or is it the budget for the nonprofit organizations?
For the event.
Okay.
For the event, correct.
Because obviously some of these nonprofits was able to retain a certain amount of surplus as part of these events coming into this. And part of it is the city is being a partner to these nonprofit organizations and making these events possible. And therefore, these surplus being possible, it would also be kind of public's interest to make sure that these surpluses that is being generated as part of these partnerships are being reinvested in the community. So that, because that's really what the purpose is. It's obviously promoting Millbrae is important, having these festivals everybody enjoys, being a city festival, those are all very positive things for Millbrae. And then at the same time, with the surpluses that's being able to generate through these events with the help of the city and subsidizing a lot of these events, I would say these surplus should be used towards the benefit of the community as a whole. And I think it'll be important for us to see those financials as part of the good standing looking forward to these applications. Would you agree?
Yeah. And again, for, even though I'm saying it's the event budget, if there is a surplus that came from the event, that should be disclosed. And I think it would benefit the nonprofits if they did indeed share where some of those surpluses go.
Exactly. It's once you receive those surpluses, where do they go? How are they planning on distributing these resources, and how are they going to be used to further the benefit of Millbrae? I think that's kind of what I'm looking for here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments, Vice Mayor Fung. And with that being said, are there any further council comments or questions? Seeing that there are none, I'll entertain a motion. I've got a motion by Councilmember Nguyen and a second by Riley. What's the motion? It's to provide action and direction to the staff? So you want to accept?
Just accept the report.
report.
Yeah, it's a study session, so I think.
Okay, so we're accepting the report for the motion. Just want to make sure we're crystal clear. All right, let's go to the votes.
Item number 7, to accept the report, passed by a vote of 4-0.
All right, thank you again, city staff, for that really robust report. And we'll move on to the event sponsorship package study session.
And I didn't go anywhere. Yes, so this is the Millbrae Event Sponsorship Package Study Session. So here again tonight to present this to you all. Again, this is the second time we've brought this forward. So I'll just go over some of the things we've already spoken about briefly and then give further information on the new policy that is presented to you. So next slide, please. So again, for background, as you know, the city of Millbrae, we love events, and the city of Millbrae and the Recreation Department do plan a wide variety, a wide range of community events and programs. We talked about this in the last one, so not to get this confused, but these are City of Millbrae and Millbrae Recreation Department events that we're looking to sponsor. And again, these events do, though, promote community engagement and help with the overall quality of life for our residents. Over time, we have had businesses and individuals express interest in sponsoring city events. So to support programs in a financially sustainable manner, the city is exploring formalizing sponsorships. The proposed event sponsorship package does create a clear and transparent framework for sponsorships. And it's important to note that sponsorships are defined as a financial contribution in exchange for a limited recognition, such as like a logo placement, acknowledgement at the event, and different participation opportunities. Next slide. So the purpose of the study session today is to further explore this idea with now there is a draft policy along with the sponsorship package. And we do want to note again that sponsorships do differ from donations, as donations are given without any expectation of a benefit in return. But businesses and individuals have expressed interest in sponsoring city events in exchange for recognition, right? So that's what makes it different from just a pure donation. And I just want to pause again right here. This package did mostly come forward as the Recreation Department has been approached in the past by individuals who are requesting to sponsor. But the reason a sponsorship package is needed is, again, to clearly define the benefits sponsors would receive. This will ensure sponsorship requests and expectations don't become excessive or unmanageable. I gave the example before that we've been approached in the past with a no string sponsorship, but then have been asked if they could have multiple booths at a location or unlimited recognition. And so it's just important to have some framework around that. So again, the package would establish some clear limits to prevent influence or additional expectations from sponsors in regard to city events. Next slide. And again, you know, if folks are coming with all these big high expectations, why even do a sponsorship package? Well, it would still help offset costs of city events and programs by supporting community events financially. And then again, we're trying to continue, and we always do, but we're creating a consistent and transparent opportunity. So all sponsors are treated the same and have the same access. Next slide. The events currently included in our sponsorship opportunity includes Beats, Brews, and Vines concert series, 4th of July celebration at Central Park, Millbrae Goes to the Movies, specifically at Central Park, our monthly senior luncheon program, the Millbrae Cultural Arts Advisory Committee events, which includes the art show and Dia de los Muertos. Those have been great events and continue to be good events and can grow even more with some additional sponsorship. And then a new event we would love to start. So there is an opportunity for somebody to be a founding sponsor for our Community Photos Day as part of this package. Additional future community programming could be included at a future date. Next slide. Just an example, I recognize the person in this photo. You look a little bit closely, you might recognize him too. But just an example, again, of how our package would look to entice folks to come out. So we have Beats, Brews, and Vines as one of our events in the package, and you can see how much fun everybody has there. So why wouldn't somebody want to sponsor? Next slide. The proposed sponsorship structure does have tiered levels. So we have presenting or launch sponsors, supporting sponsors, exhibitor sponsors, and the benefits are listed in the package as well. And so the benefits could, again, include logo recognition, a booth space at the event, a possible announcements for somebody emceeing, and web page placement if we have a web page for that event. Next slide. And how did staff develop the pricing? Well, staff did review the actual event production costs, so these events, how much they cost. We took into account staff time for administration and coordination. Again, if we're ordering as part of this event package, we could be ordering a sign or things like that. So we took in some account for staff administration time. And then we also considered, on-site operational impacts. And lastly, we did do a comparison with sponsor programs and packages in other cities and agencies that are similar to ours. Next slide. And we know that I love guardrails and they are important. And these were some that were listed at the last study session. So while sponsors receive recognition, they do not have control over city events. All events would remain city operated and directed. Sponsorships, of course, do not replace permits or rentals or vendor fees. And the city of Millbrae may decline sponsorships creating legal, financial, or reputational risk, which we'll go further into a little bit later. Next slide. Just a pretty package in case the public is watching and want to sponsor our movie nights in Central Park. Next slide. So following the April 28th study session, staff created a sponsorship package policy. We also incorporated city council feedback, which added further operational safeguards. And of course, we did seek legal's review and and we reviewed and strengthened, sorry, that's my alarm for, I need to take antibiotics. Okay. And with that, we did review and we strengthened the conflict of interest protections. Next slide. We just had our monthly senior luncheon today at the Recreation Center, so that would be one of the things that people could sponsor. Next slide. As part of the policy, the following will be excluded from eligibility for city sponsorship opportunities. This includes political campaigns or candidates, businesses promoting discrimination or violence, applicants with pending permits or contracts or land use matters before the city, and then, of course, those promoting firearms, cannabis, tobacco, or vaping-related businesses, any entities with outstanding debts owed to the city, or entities with unresolved code violations, those would all be excluded from being eligible for sponsoring a city event. And then, of course, any entity that was creating operational, legal, or financial or reputational risk to the city, we would be able to deny their sponsorship. Next slide. Another example of the package. Next slide. And just some additional policy safeguards, since we have drafted the policy now. Sponsors, of course, would not receive any preferential treatment. They receive recognition, but again, not influence. They wouldn't impact permit and licenses or contract and bidding processes or city approvals or city, other city regulatory decisions. Sponsors, again, we talked about this, but they wouldn't replace any permit fees or insurance requirements. And sponsors will not be able to use the City of Millbrae logo, seal, or branding on independently created promotional materials or advertisements in regard to our city events. Sponsors can indeed distribute or share the approved city-created promotional materials, but they would not be able to create their own. And all sponsored events, again, remain fully city-operated and city-directed. Next slide. I'm already waiting for the next art show. So implementation, the city manager or designee is authorized to approve and coordinate sponsorships in compliance with this policy once it is approved. But all sponsors will also be required to do a written sponsorship agreement. So there would be an agreement with the city, and these would identify sponsorship amounts, what benefits would be provided to the sponsor, of course, any insurance requirements as needed, payment deadlines, any indemnification requirements or cancellation provisions. So again, once they want to sponsor, we would enter into a simple agreement so we're all on the same page. Next slide. This is the Community Photos Day that we're desperately hoping to start at the Recreation Department. And so looking, once this is approved, hopefully we get some sponsors for that. Next slide. And so tonight, our request to council, again, is just to review the draft City of Millbrae event sponsorship policy and package, ask questions, provide any direction to staff, and with direction, we can return to City Council with like a standardized sponsorship agreement, just for your review. And yeah, that is my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Moran. Any questions from council or comments? Seeing that there's none, is there any public comment on this item?
No, Mayor.
Okay, fantastic. Bringing it back to council for one last round of questions or comments.
Hey, Mayor, if I'd like to just add a little bit to what Hannah said.
Please.
And, you know, why are we doing this? Obviously, I had mentioned in the kind of related presentation how much sales tax revenue we get. I wanted to just provide to the council how that works and why an augmentation in a program like this is so beneficial in terms of revenue generation to the city. So, for example, our two-day festivals average about 320 booths. So if each of those booths average $2,000 for the weekend, which we understand is about the average, that's 320 booths times 2,000. That's 640,000 in sales. All right. The sales tax for the city of Millbrae is 0.9375. That generates $60,000 in sales tax. We receive 1% of that $60,000, which is $600. So you can see how when people say, I pay my tax, they do, just like our property tax. You know, you have a $2 million home, you're paying $20,000 in property tax, but the city only gets $3,200 of that $20,000. So that's why the sales tax. So anything that we can do to raise revenue, augment our cost, and there's a willingness to do that. That's why we're bringing this forward, because we get requests frequently about sponsorship opportunities. So that kind of puts it in perspective of why these are coming together and the need to look at this. So obviously it helps the person that's sponsoring us. They get recognition, and it helps us as an opportunity to raise some revenue to defray some of these costs that were presented in the last item.
Thanks for the clarification, City Manager. Clarification for the public. Many cities have programs that are similar to this, which is what staff used to model, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else from the council want to make a comment? If not, I'll entertain a motion right now. Everyone's real quiet tonight. All right. I'll make the motion to accept the report and move forward. We have a second? We got a second from Councilmember Nguyen. So let's go to the votes.
Item number 8 passed by a vote of 4-0 to receive the report.
All right, thank you, City Clerk Tran. And now we're going to go to council comments. So with that being said, Vice Mayor Fung, why don't you start us off?
Attended the PC Executive Board meeting just yesterday. The PG&E rates are going up. The electricity rates are going up a bit, especially on the PCIA portion of it. And, you know, the Peninsula Clean Energy has historically been maintaining a rate stabilization fund to help stabilize the electricity rate for the entire county. And it is working really well. And so it is the PC Executive Board's recommendation to the full board that we're going to maintain beginning on July 1st, instead of a 10, but 5% discount from the PG&E rate for the remainder of the year. And then see where things go until January of 2027. And we will try our best to maintain at least some sort of a discount compared to what the PG&E generation as well as PCI would charge. The cost of energies are rising, and it is getting less and less affordable just to help folks to stay in their homes. So, but PCE is doing everything it can to help stabilize the rate throughout the county. So that's kind of the update and more to come.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Fung. With that being said, we're going to move to Councilmember Nguyen.
Many of the committee meetings have been canceled. I think it's the beginning of summer, so I saw a lot of that. But I do want to thank City Manager Williams for being very fast about responding to, I think it was 3 District 4 residents complaining about essentially, and I've seen this with my neighborhood too, where you can see a lot of cars parked on the sidewalks, taking up quite a bit of space. And in one situation, blocked a resident from even backing out of his, from what he claimed was backing out of his driveway. So a special thanks to City Manager Williams and also the sheriff for being very quick about, and this is not from me, this is from the residents kind of showing their gratitude that they did recognize how fast the city responded. So I want to just give you recognition for that. Thank you, Tom. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Nguyen. Thank you, City Manager Williams, for all that you do. And now we're going to go to Councilmember Riley.
I was in the Regulation Center May 30th for the youth information. It's amazing, the youth Toastmaster, the girl, 13 years old, gave a very good speech. It's so inspired. And this youth athlete give us presentation to inspire few young girl wants to join those youth basketball team. And especially for the last one, which is the previous basketball professional player, gave us a speech for the how to present yourself, how to apply college. So turn out this very good event. Unfortunately, from all our 10 more youth committee, only have 2 are attended. That's pretty sad. So, and the last Saturday, I attended our nonprofit organization PEA first event in Millbrae. So I saw the council member Bob and the Vice Mayor Fang. It's amazing for the veterans. Ken, he was second World War II veterans, and he's 99 years old, still walking and talking very good. So we wish him good health, and he was a volunteer for 40 years. This is the first he gets rewards. So that's very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. So close it up here. Had the opportunity to go to SFO Roundtable. It's one of the memberships that I chair. At SFO Roundtable, we're actually working on our Fly Quiet 2.0 program. It's a program that incentivizes airlines to do voluntary procedures to help reduce noise on the impacted communities by the airport. As you may notice within Millbrae, it's been a little bit quieter since the repaving project, but that noise travels to other communities around us. So we're working on that, and on Thursday, we'll have our technical working group, who's part of the SFO roundtable. So that's June 11th. It's a Thursday at 6 p.m. in Brisbane at Brisbane City Hall Annex. It'll be open to the public. It's a workshop to work on those parameters for the Fly Quiet 2.0 program. So we're looking forward to a healthy and robust discussion there. Also, I had the privilege of last weekend being able to attend Self-Help for the Elderly, which is one of our longstanding nonprofits. Getting tongue twisted saying nonprofit tonight. Been a lot of that. They had over 800 attendees. It was attended by senators, assembly members, DAs, board supervisors, mayors, both former and current. Vice Mayor Fung was in attendance with me. The important thing for the public to know about Self-Help for the Elderly, just to put it in perspective for you, from July of last year to December of last year, they served over 7,000 congregate meals. What that means is they provided not only nourishment, but connection and dignity for our older adults within our community. This is a very long-standing relationship, and we're deeply grateful for it. Furthermore, they also do activities like dance classes, tabletop games like Mahjong, educational classes on investment scams, and free health and dental screenings. Also, they're very flexible with their space when the city has other competing priorities. So really thankful for the folks at Self-Help for the Elderly. Thankful for all those that were able to support that night. So with that being said, we're going to, before we adjourn, we're going to close out in memory of a long-term Millbrae resident, one that many of us know. I'd like to close out tonight's meeting in memory of John Lawrence Larry LaDuca. He's a longtime Millbrae resident and a dedicated community leader who passed away on May 20th, 2026. Larry devoted countless hours to serving others and improving our community. He was a U.S. Army veteran, successful realtor, and a proud member of numerous civic organizations. He was perhaps best known in Millbrae for his leadership and service through the Millbrae Lions Club, where he served as president as well as his leadership roles with the Peninsula Council of Lions Club. Through his volunteerism, generosity, and commitment to public service, Larry made a lasting impact on Millbrae and the broader San Mateo County community. We extend our heartfelt condolences to Larry's family, friends, and all those whose lives he's touched. His legacy of service, friendship, and community spirit will long be remembered. In his honor, we'll adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of John Lawrence Larry LaDuca at 9:24 p.m. This meeting's adjourned.